Hello all, I am Dhruv Patel. I am going to show you how we can create indexer clustering and searched clustering in Splunk using Jenkins Pipeline. For performing this task, we require some tools. Those are first create account in AWS and Git. Next, Ansible, Git, Jenkins and Terraform. I install Ansible, Jenkins and Terraform in my local VM. This figure shows the overview of the task we are going to perform. First, we have to create the repository in Git. I created two private repositories, one for Ansible, where all my Ansible playbook are stored. Second for Terraform, where all my Terraform files are stored. I also provided the GitHub repository link where in the description where all the files are stored. Now let's move towards the Jenkins pipeline. How we are going to execute this task using Jenkins pipeline. For this, we required Ansible plugin for executing the Ansible playbook and Terraform plugin for executing the Terraform file. Using Terraform, we create the AWS EC2 instance, and using Ansible plugin, we are going to install Splunk and creating the searched clustering and indexer clustering in it. Now let's move towards the first part, AWS EC2 instance creation. The Git L repository for the Terraform and Ansible files repository for an Ansible file. My ec.tf for EC2 instance configuration. Resource AWS instance count equal to 2. It shows how many instance we are going to create. At last, text equal to name equal to indexer and followed by the count.index plus 1 for differentiate between two instance name. In security group, I define the Splunk rule. I already created the Splunk rule security group where all my 822 8084 8085 ports are open. Instance type t2.micro, and we have to specify the key name for the connection to AWS instance. Provider.tf for specify the provider region, access key and secret key. Provider AWS region, in which region we are going to create the AWS instance. For access key and secret key, simply how we get the access key and secret key. First, simply go to the AWS management console, search for IAM. In IAM, we have to create the user with administrator role. I already created the user. When you create the user, at last it shows the secret key and access key. Just copy that access key and secret key and specify in the provider.tf. Now let's move towards the Jenkins pipeline. Here is the Terraform pipeline, Terraform 1 for building the AWS instance. Just go to the configure. Pipeline, we have to specify agent any tools, Terraform, and then stages. First stage for Git connection with Git, second for Terraform init, third for Terraform plan, and fourth for Terraform apply. For connect with Git, we have to just go to the pipeline syntax. The new window is open. Select the Git. I use my private repo. For private repository, you have to specify your credential. Just copy repository link and paste here. Branch, you have to specify the branch. I use the main branch, so I specify the main branch. Then credential. I already created the credential. For creating a credential, we have to go to the GitHub, and in setting, at last we see the developer setting, and in developer setting we have to go to the personal access token and generate a new token. Use this token as a password, and in Jenkins add a credential. Username is your GitHub username and specify the generated access token as your password. Now click on the generate pipeline script. The script is generated. Now copy and paste it here. Check out from Git. Now let's start our first pipeline. Now click on build now. I have only one instance run currently in my account. Name server3. After successfully executing this pipeline, it creates the two EC2 instance. One is Indexer1 and second is Indexer2. Now it's creating the instance. The instance are successfully created. The pipeline is successfully executed. Now let's check our instance are created or not. Just refresh the page. Yes, the instance are created. Indexer1 and Indexer2. For creating indexer clustering, we require master node. And for creating the searcher clustering, we require deployer and searchers. I already created the other instance. We can check our security group is correctly assigned or not. Go to the security Splunk rule. Now let's move toward the second part, Splunk installation. For installing the Splunk, we create Splunk install playbook, in which we specify the host in which host we are going to install Splunk. First task is to unachieve Splunk tar. The ansible.builtin.unachieve module is download the Splunk from given link and install in OPT. The second task is to change ownership of the OPT Splunk. Third task is for start the Splunk and accept license. 4 is to create user. We use the user seed method for creating the user. Fifth task is to change the user parameter. Change the limit from 500 MB to 5 MB. And sixth task is for enable the HTTPS, and last task is for restart the Splunk. In host file, we create the indexer group and specify the two indexers IP. Now creating the Jenkins pipeline. First stage is for Git checkout as we see early. Second is for executing the playbook file from Git. For creating the Ansible pipeline, just click on pipeline syntax, select Ansible playbook, Ansible to specify the Ansible tool name, playbook file path, specify the file name, Splunk install.yml. Now specify the inventory file host.ini. For SSH connection credential, I already created the SSH connection. For creating SSH credential, just we have to click to add credential and give the EC2 instance username and paste the security key content and save the credentials. Now select use become. Select the disable the host SSH key check and select on the generate pipeline script. Now copy the generated pipeline and paste in our pipeline Ansible playbook step. Now save it. Click on build now. Our pipeline executing started. Now our pipeline is successfully executed. Now we just check the Splunk is started or not. First, copy the IP of our indexer 2. Now check the status of Splunk currently running or not. Splunk is running. Now we go to the Splunk web. To the username and password we specify in user seed method. Now we successfully log in. We have to install Splunk in all our deployer, searchhead and master node. I already installed Splunk in deployer and searchhead. Now installing the Splunk in my master node. Now our next task is creating the indexer clustering. For creating the indexer clustering, we have to enable the indexer clustering in the master node. For doing this, I created the playbook masters.yml. For this, I specify host as a web server 1. So I copy the IP of master and paste into the web server 1 group. .yml, we specify the host as a web server 1. In task, first task is the start Splunk. Second task is the enable the indexer clustering in master node. To enable clustering, just fire a command Splunk edit cluster config mode master replication factor for indexer clustering as a 2, search factor for 2 as a searched clustering, secret admin 123 and auth provide the master's username and password. And last is the restart Splunk. I created the pipeline master configuration as we did earlier. Specify the stage for a git and stage for a run the playbook for master pipeline master.yml. Now our pipeline execution is start. Now our pipeline is successfully executed. Now let's check using Splunk web. Now login into the master Splunk master. Now our master node is successfully configured. Now it's waiting for peers to join. For enabling the indexer clustering in indexer peer, I have created the playbook indexer.yml. I specify the indexer group as a host in indexer.yml. Task is the first task is the start Splunk. Second is the create enable the peer node of indexer cluster. The command is Splunk edit cluster config mode peer master URI, specify the master URI, replication port, secret and Auth. Provide the indexer username and password. I use the same master configuration for enable the clustering in indexer peers. So for this I have just added the Ansible playbook name indexer.yml, save it, and now click on build now. Our pipeline execution is started. Our pipeline is successfully executed. Now check in the master node. Just refresh the page. We can see here the peers, the two peers are up. This is our last part for our task, searched clustering. For searched clustering, I created the shc.yml. I combined the all tasks for deployer and searched cluster config in one playbook. First is the deployer config, host is deployer, and task is the enable the clustering in deployer. For this, I use the copy module and paste the asset clustering stanza in the server.conf. Next part is for searched one. Task is the restart Splunk, and second task is the configure the searched here. For this, I fire a command Splunk init sh cluster config auth, provide the searched cluster one password and username, management URI, searched one URI, replication factor 2, and specify the deployer URL. Also write the task for searched 2, and then we have to select one searched as a captain. I select searched one as a captain. For this we run the command splunk bootstrap sh cluster captain server list, specify the searched IPs with port auth, specify the sh1 username and password. Next task is connect the searched with Indexer cluster. For this we run the command splunk edit cluster config mode, specify the search head, master URL, specify the URL of master with port, secret, and provide the username and password. I use the deployer shc1 shc2 as a host, so we have to define our host in host.ini. Now configure our Jenkins pipeline. I created two stages, one for Git and second for the shc.yml file. Now let's click on build now. Pipeline execution is started. Now click on console output. We see here the tasks. Now currently we see here we have only one searcher. This is the master. It's executing the SHC1 captain task. Our searcher clustering successfully created. Now it's connect the searches with cluster master. Now playbook execution is successfully completed. Now we check with our master node. We can see here it shows 3 searches. For checking our searcher clustering, I copy the search head 1 IP and logging into the Splunk web. Go to the setting, search head clustering, and we can see here our searcher clustering. Our task is successfully completed. Thanks for watching.